Good evening.
Hi.
Yeah, just great to have you on the live tonight.
Yeah.
First off, my name's Isaac Orange. I'm with Ambitious Entertainment. Welcome to Ambitious Amplified, the interviews we have with artists like weekly, and just today I'm very lucky to have you joining us. Everyone, please give a warm welcome to Storm Fatality. Once again, thank you so much for being here. I hear that you are a live music performer, but you also teach music and you also make your own songs. So what was it that made you want to start pursuing music, and also what was it that made you want to start teaching music as well?
Yeah, I mean, music's really just been a huge part of my life forever now. I love all types, everything, and growing up, I mean, no one in my family was a musician or anything. I kind of got into it on my own, and I love inspiring others, which is part of why I love being a teacher so much.
Got it. Yeah, that's great. So what instruments do you play, if you mind me asking?
I do a little bit of everything. My main is definitely guitar and like vocals, but like I'll do pretty much anything.
Do you teach anything that you don't know how to play at the moment, or?
No, but I mean, if someone comes in and they're like a little bit better than me, that has happened.
That's fair. What do you say to them then?
I mean, there's always room for improvements on fundamentals, which is usually where we'll start. Whether that's technique if they're self-taught or really just anything that can use a little bit of improvement or motivation, that's the best place to start.
Got it. Yeah, yeah. I mean, everyone can use a little bit of help sometimes, even if their skill exceeds yours. So, to give us all an idea of your music, how would you describe it, at least stylistically?
Um, I like to do lots of different styles and incorporate it together. My biggest influence is shock rock, so stuff like Alice Cooper or anything in that realm. But I mean, I'll go into any sorts of metal or rock. I also do jazz. I love musical theater, so really anything, and I try to incorporate it all into one. I love theatrics. I love really anything, and I try to make it as dark as I can to fit my music.
Fair. And are there any genres you would want to like branch into as you continue to make new music?
There's a ton I would love to try and incorporate to make it into sort of a cool alternative twist, like country or even like new metal with some more rap stuff. I would think that would be pretty cool.
You don't really want to be confined to like one genre. You want
Yeah.
to experiment with a lot of different stuff.
Yeah, it's always good to branch out. You never know when an opportunity is going to come up. Even if it's out of your comfort zone, it's always good to just take it.
Do you have a favorite band at the moment that does experiment with a lot of different genres?
I think my favorite band that does anything similar to that is probably Alice Cooper. I mean, he's done so much in the past. He like created shock rock, but he did like a glam metal era. He's done a lot, and I think I really look up to that.
And what are your favorite Alice Cooper songs, or what ones really inspire the music that you make?
I have a lot that really get to me. My favorite of all time is Poison, especially because I got to play that live with the Alice Cooper band before. I just have a connection with that. But also, a lot of his songs were the first I ever learned to play on my instruments. So, I'm 18 was the first solo I ever learned, and Poison was the first riff I learned. I just have a lot of emotional connections to them.
Does your like face paint when you're live performing, does that also come from a love of that shock rock that came from that time, not only with Alice Cooper painting his face, but also bands like Kiss and and Poison, Motley Crue, all
Yeah.
those.
That is a huge part of what I do. The makeup and the outfit choices are pretty deliberate with that. Whether it's bands like Alice Cooper or Kiss, I also love corpse paint, like with black metal, like Mayhem or anything like that. It's a huge part of it.
So how does the like face paint have its own personality, like both that's combined with the music but also outside of the music? Because there's bands like Insane Clown Posse, that's their huge following is just about everyone going to their shows and wearing black and white, makeup like clowns. So how does that become a culture in of itself, and how do you view that culture?
I think a big part of it is really separation between your personal life and whether you're like a character on stage, and having like a border between those two. It's always good to separate them because you don't want to be that person all the time. And that's something I like to do. I'm not always like this crazy metal person that I am on stage. I think most artists that use any of those sorts of looks are going for that kind of separation between their personal life.
Yeah, and can you think of any bands off the top of your head, at least right now, making music where you really like the look they're going for? I know for me, at least, there's this band, I hope I'm saying this right, like Nar, where they just dress up in like insane monster outfits and, play music in that, which I would imagine is super hard to do. But off the top of your head, can you think of any that are just your personal favorite right now?
One of my personal favorites, I will always love, Ice Nine Kills is one of them, where they just go for the whole movie look. I think that's super cool. Ghost is another one. I can't imagine that amount being easy at all, so huge props to that. But it is so cool getting into character, especially because I do love musical theater and stuff like that, so it's a really cool concept to have them collide.
Can you ever imagine, or would you ever want to do the makeup and prosthetics to the extreme that those bands do, or do you just think that would be super uncomfortable to perform in?
I will always push myself out of my comfort zone. I would absolutely love to do that one day. I mean, for my next few shows I have coming up, I bought like gallons of fake blood and stuff that I'm just gonna douse myself in. Even for like homecoming and stuff, that's what I'll do. Like, I will always take any opportunity to just be extreme.
Is that at all movie inspired, like from 80s horror? I know the ending of Carrie had the main character just being dumped on blood, and you said at least the song's name that you were going to perform is Homecoming, so I could at least think of drawing a little bit of some ties there, but correct me if I'm wrong.
Absolutely, yeah. I love the slasher films. Carrie's one of my favorites. Anything bloody and gory is super fun. I love like the Terrifier movies and stuff. That's a part of why I love Ice Nine Kills so much. It's just ridiculous. I love it.
So big horror fan.
Yeah, definitely.
Any horror movies coming out soon that you're excited to see? I know there's that A24 one where it's like a podcast listener. Yes. I think it's called Undertone. Also, there's a Backrooms movie coming out. Just, I'm a huge horror fan, so what are you excited to see coming out this year in the genre?
So pumped for the Backrooms I'm hearing about. I mean, that's something I grew up with and was kind of terrified when I was a child, so I'm very excited for that, but I just love found footage style stuff, so that is super exciting to see.
Got it, yeah. For me, like, there's this YouTube short film called Portrait of God. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's really good. And Sam Raimi and Jordan Peele have teamed together and bought the creative rights to that short film to try and make it a feature film. And I like both of those directors' movies, so I'm really excited about that. But back to music. How did you come up with the name Storm Fatality?
My biggest, I mean, I have a lot of different things that came from it. One of my favorite guitarists of all time, Nita Strauss, they call her the Hurricane, and so I was like, that would be really cool if I did something like that. And then I kind of came up with that little motto that I have, the faster than lightning, louder than thunder, and I was like, yes. And it's all coming together, and I made like a whole character plot, everything that I wanted, and I kind of just live off that now.
It feels very comic inspired by the one of the main X-Men heroes being a female hero named Storm, and Fatality being like pop art that would come up in like a fight scene in a comic. But it definitely does have that like punch to its name, and is definitely something that you can try to build a character with, because as I said, it does sound like something kind of out of a comic book.
Yeah.
So how do you overcome creative blocks when working on new music?
I'm always branching out between different genres. If I am suddenly in a drought that I was working on something that's, I don't know, more metal, I gotta switch it up. I'm going to jazz, or like polar opposite things. It's always good to switch it up, so that way you're not stuck in one zone and one mindset. I always encourage my students to branch out a lot, even if they don't like it. It's good to expand that knowledge, just so you have something you can fall back on or lean into if you do get stuck.
Yeah, that's completely fair. If you get stuck on what you're working on, change what you're working on entirely.
Yeah.
I get that, but when you do that, do you find that you're like working on a ton of songs at the same time because it's hard to finish them, or are you like completing songs one after the other?
My mind is all over the place all the time. There's no way I can just like sit down and write a song. I'll have like 50 things pop into my head, and I'm like, okay, hold the phone, because you gotta like write this down and move on to something else and put that there. I cannot just like sit there and like finish a song all the way through. I'm constantly jumping from thing to thing.
Yeah, and I would imagine, because you do work with a band, right?
Yeah.
How has it been like scheduling your time with other band members for recordings and completing a song?
That is probably the most difficult. No one talks about it, but just how much time you have. Like, I have no time to myself because of music. I mean, I was just in the studio, and I had to do one day in, one day out, one day back in, just with so many conflicting schedules going on, and really organization was just out the window. It's really hard. That's probably the biggest challenge for me.
Yeah, I would imagine. I have a friend right now who is pursuing music at Berklee College in Boston, and he always talks to me about the challenges of reaching out to someone a week beforehand to get their help in recording a song that they're writing, and then the day before the studio time reaching out to them being like, hey, I gotta cancel, it seems I can't make it, even while you've had this planned like a week ahead of time. So
Yep.
I would definitely imagine. But even with these difficulties, what is it that you love about making music?
I mean, the biggest thing for me is just inspiring other people. That will always be like my main goal. But I just love the atmosphere of performing. I love hearing the final product when you're recording a song, or just like the bond you make with people. Really, everything, all the little things that happen are just so special. And it's really important to just cherish all that.
Got it. Yeah. So you could definitely imagine just continuing doing this as a career and
Absolutely, yeah.
passion. Do you want to continue doing it in the like Illinois, Chicago area, or do you want to go somewhere where the music scene might be a little bit bigger, especially for more underground artists like yourself?
I want to go everywhere. I mean, I know some big places would be Los Angeles has a big scene, especially because like the Sunset Strip or anything like that, Whiskey A Go Go, all that. I mean, I will always be 80s metal at heart, so going there would be a dream come true performing there like they did in the 80s. But I want to tour the world one day and just play, whether it's small venues or stadiums, I don't even care. I want to meet different people and go different places.
I know one of the biggest ways to gain followings, at least right now, is with free concerts or like places that might put on free venues. How has it been finding venues to perform at, and would you prefer to play at a free venue where you might gain a lot more listeners, or have something that is, paid so that you can at least make some money with what you're doing?
Yeah. I mean, I will take really any opportunity just to play, whether it's with a band or by myself, an acoustic setting. I don't really care. If it's free, I definitely love to meet the people. I love having a bigger audience to perform in front of. Whether paid, I mean, I don't really get that as of now, maybe in the future, but I definitely think free shows are my favorite just because you get so many people coming in.
Yeah, I only say that because being from a small town in California, there's been these things promoting free shows for local bands in the town that have brought up these bands for people that I went to school with, from like small time shows to starting to get some monthly shows at an actual paid venue after a couple years, which, they didn't stop. They continued releasing music and continued performing, getting their name out there, and now they're getting paid for what they love doing, which is just fantastic. Maybe I need to pay these guys to get a sit down talk with them now, but
Yeah.
or I could just see them at the high school reunion if they go to that and aren't so famous by then. So now for a couple bits of that game, to pass the time, I'm going to give you two options, and you can choose whether you prefer one or the other. So recording music or playing it live?
Playing it live, definitely.
Streaming or listening to music on a physical copy, like a CD or a vinyl?
I collect records and I love doing that, but out of convenience, probably streaming it online.
Do you have a specific record player that you play on?
I do. I've had the same one. It's one of those stupid little suitcase ones. I've had it since I was like 9, I think.
I know the one. I've actually collected record players for the past couple years. I think it's like 4 or 5 years. I also collect records and CDs because CDs are extremely convenient. I mean, or at least they used to be, because in recent makes of cars, they have actually taken the CD port out unless you pay extra for the car, which freaking sucks, by the way. But don't need to talk about that. So, bass or guitar?
Bass is really important, despite what people say. But I feel like you can do so much more on guitar, and that is my first instrument, so I'm gonna have to go with guitar.
Would you rather have someone play the drums for a beat on the song, or find a beat online?
I will always prefer live drums. I mean, when I'm making demos, I'll program them in, but in the final product in the studio, I want someone on drums. On stage, I want someone on the drums. I just want a fuller sound that's more real and intimate.
When someone's playing the drums for you in the studio, is there any room for improvisation, at least in their own right, or do you want it to be exactly how you envisioned it?
Yeah, I'm pretty straightforward. I think in the studio, I have it written out. I have it a set way that I want. When I'm live, I don't really care. I think it's more fun live, but for the sake of the song and the time, especially, if it's written out and it's just play it through, that's
Got it. Acoustic or electric?
definitely electric. That's a hard one. I mean, you can do a clean tone with electric. I don't think it's that big of a difference, and it is a lot more convenient a lot of the times.
I think a lot of really good songs have been made combining the two. Like
Yeah,
one of my favorite rock bands, the British band Muse.
yeah,
Their second album, Origins of Symmetry, was really big on combining like heavy rock with orchestral symphonies. With
yeah.
first time I listened to that, I was, what am I listening to right now?
Yes.
I need to get this on CD, vinyl, track tape, 6-string or 7-string. I do not know. I would think 6-string because they were working with a limited budget at the time and still weren't as popular as a band as they are now. But you should definitely, everyone listening, check out the album Origins of Symmetry by Muse. I believe it is their second album. Fantastic if you are just a fan of rock or good music. So now for another game. Let's say, as a hypothetical, you could only bring 3 albums with you on a deserted album to listen to. What 3 albums are you bringing?
Oh, yikes. I definitely have to pick Trash by Alice Cooper. Another really inspiring one, for me at least, would probably be Welcome to Horrorwood, Ice Nine Kills. And then the last one will probably be Skeleton by Ghost.
Can you say that last one more time?
Skeleton by Ghost.
Well, you have just given me some new music to listen to, which I always need, being a like radio DJ on Mondays.
Absolutely.
At times I lose just ideas of what to play and, find a random Spotify playlist that someone has made. And I'd rather make my own Spotify playlist for what I, put on the radio. So when you start a new song, do you usually begin with lyrics, melody, or a beat?
I think a lot of the time I like to write poetry, which is a shocker for people because no one knows that. But a lot of the times that ends up turning into my songs. And it doesn't even have to be the full thing. It'll just be a short phrase or something, and it just spirals from there. And then I'm in like a creative thing, and I can't stop. So everything ends up coming at once.
That's fair. And when everything comes at once, how do you find time to just work on things one by one? Or is it just a mess, you're kind of working on everything at the same time?
Yeah, I just try to get it in my head. Like, I'll get it stuck in my head, sing it, hum it over and over and over until I have time to sit down and record a demo for guitar and then leads and then vocals and then put that in a folder, save it for later until I can get in the studio.
And once you get in the studio and or finish the song, how do you decide when a song is ready to be released versus needing more work?
Yeah, I think I will always be my biggest critic, and that is for most cases, but I always want to change things. A lot of the time, I'll just try and send it out as soon as possible, or like not listen to it so I don't be like, okay, yep, no, gotta start over, this is horrible. I tend to judge myself pretty hard.
Fair. I feel like everyone does, but
Yeah.
there's that one saying, overestimate what we can get done in a day, but we underestimate what we can get done in a week.
Yeah.
It takes time to work on large projects, and a lot of time it's hard to take that time, especially when you're on like other people's schedule. So what's the most challenging part of songwriting for you right now?
The most challenging part for me, well, it's always been, is just not really second guessing myself too harshly. I mean, I'll sit there and play through something and I'll love it the first time, and then I listen to it back and suddenly everything needs to be changed, and then before I know it, all my time is gone and I don't have a song. So really sitting there and being like, yeah, this is good, but maybe one or two things can change and not the whole thing, and starting over is pretty difficult.
And you said, at least in your songwriting, a lot of your lyrics are based on poetry. Poetry is a very emotionally driven field. Do you feel like you need to be in a more emotional state to write a song, or can you be in any state to access that ability to write emote or poetry that is very personal and effective?
Yeah, in my music, I try not to draw too much from my personal life. So it's pretty easy for me to dial that in, like, oh, I have this vision for a song or what I want it to look like on stage, like theatrics wise. And from there, I'm able to be like, okay, I want this feel, blah, 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 write it down, skim it through, and then perfect it later. Rather than having an event happen to me or just being in a mood and then writing it down, I'd rather it be more like away from my personal life and emotion.
Got it. So is your writing more storytelling poetry, or how would you describe it?
Definitely more storytelling stuff. They all my songs and all that stuff revolve sort of around a theme, or more so how I want it to look live, whether I want it to be an opener or like I want it to be right after a big solo or a ballad or just anything like that that the audience would go crazy for, or how I want the audience to feel. That's usually where a lot of it stems from.
What themes would you say your songs usually follow when you write them?
It definitely depends. A lot of the time, I'll create different either characters or just up in my head and whatever sounds enticing that day. Sometimes it stems from a movie, sometimes it's just something I dreamed about. Whatever it is, it's pretty random sometimes.
Do you ever feel like you've built a character so good in writing or making one of your songs that you've continued their story with another song, or is it always a different character?
Yeah, I think for at least the first song I ever made, the next single has continued her story a little bit more.
Got it. Well, super cool. I love it when there can be a concept to the music I listen to. I really like My Chemical Romance's first three albums because they seem to follow the, same sort story between I Brought You My Bullets, You Brought Me Your Love, Three Cheers for Sweet Revenge, and The Black Parade.
Absolutely.
Now switching over to some questions about collaborating with other artists. When working with other musicians, how do you handle creative disagreements?
Yeah, it's always really hard for me, especially because sometimes I have a set vision, but I also want to make everyone happy because I'm a little bit of a people pleaser. I think a lot of the times what ends up happening is I'll set aside my own standards, or I'll lower them or raise them, whatever, to fit the situation. And I'll put other people first, what they want. I mean, it's always good to kind of compromise, but sometimes it just doesn't work. So I like to put other people first, put my vision second, incorporate it later, whatever ends up happening. I don't usually try and force it on them or anything.
This also leads into the next question, which kind of with what you said answers it. Just maybe you might have more to say about it. How do you make sure everyone in a band feels heard creatively when working on a song, especially if you have a set vision for it?
Yeah, that it's really hard, especially because my band members and everyone I work with, I do end up getting super close with. They're my friends or my family. So it's really important for me that they all feel heard. It's good to, rather than just standing there in a rehearsal throwing ideas out there, it is way better to sit down and actually talk about it or set some guidelines like, hey, this song needs to have this feel, it's at this tempo, it's in this tuning, but what ideas do you think could help contribute to the overall story that we're trying to tell here?
Yeah.
And just basic feel.
Yeah. And when you record music as a band, is it always in-person sessions, or are files like sent back and forth with each member? You don't really have to be like in the same studio to be working on the same song.
Yeah, I've done both. I think it's definitely easier to be all in the same place at once in the same studio. But I mean, a lot of the times I feel like in the process of sending things back and forth, the message and the feeling and just like everything gets lost. So it's definitely better, I think, to be in the same place at once.
That's fair. But at the same time, if you're sending files back and forth with each other, and maybe you're working with someone who is able to see the sheet music and knows immediately how to do it, like you're not really working on another person's time, and like you can work on your time. Like you don't need to be waiting for them after sending files over to that person. You can work on different stuff until they send the file back to you, and not be worried on if or when they're going to work on it. Just know that they probably will. But
Yeah.
yeah, I would imagine there's that ease when not working in the studio. But I definitely agree with you that getting that creative vision definitely better happens from in-person collaboration.
Yeah.
So who has been your favorite person to work with as you've made music, and why?
Yeah, I have so many connections and just people that I've gotten to know. I think a lot of the people that I've gotten to work with have very different things to contribute and have helped me grow as a musician. Definitely the biggest moment for me was when I was like, I think I was in seventh grade. I wrote a letter to Alice Cooper and he responded to it, and suddenly my world opened up and I was like, oh my God, what I want to do for the rest of my life. So that was probably the biggest moment for me.
Yeah, getting something back from someone you idolize that much to
Yeah,
feel good about pursuing this.
absolutely.
That makes sense. And who at the moment would you really want to work with on a new track?
There are so many people. Some bands and stuff that I've really always had a similar taste to, I think, and style. I would love someday to collaborate with either some artists like Ginger or Spiritbox or Poppy even, just in a very similar like metalcore genre. But I also love the heavier. I love Cannibal Corpse. I love Mayhem, all that sorts of stuff. Really anything in that realm would be incredible.
What about anybody that you might know in the underground scene in your area as well? Does anything come to mind on people who you might want to collaborate with?
I've met so many people that I would love to collab with, just in general. I mean, granted, I don't feel like I live in a very big music scene area, but Some bands that immediately come into mind, there's a few. One of them is called Gen Ecstasy. Another one is called Purge the Heretics. Purge the Heretics is more metalcore. I definitely feel like we could collab somewhere in there.
Speaking of the underground scene, how would someone like myself get more involved in going to shows for bands in the underground scene in Illinois and outside of Illinois?
Absolutely. I know pretty much anywhere you go, there's going to be someone there that is, I don't know, wants to be involved. It's always good to promote yourself when you're the musician. If you're not the musician and you're looking to go, places like music stores, places like that sell records, alt stores, anything like that, there's guaranteed you're going to find some flyers. Online, people in your area, really anywhere, if you just do a quick search, you're going to find something.
Yeah. So people who want to get into the underground scene, search up, look at flyers, etc., etc. So what is upcoming for you and your band for the next year? Are there any tracks that you could tease that are releasing soon?
Yes, we just got done with one, and I am so excited for it. We're going to be performing it live for the first time in April, and no one's heard it yet except for the band. No one even knows it's coming, so this is the first time anyone's hearing about it. But we're performing it live for the first time, and then I hope, if all goes according to plan, that night that we perform it, we're going to release it. So hopefully people out there are excited for this. I know I'm excited for this. My band is excited for this. We worked super hard on it. And it's going to continue the story that we were talking about earlier with my first song.
Do you know where and when this performance is happening? I know you said it's happening in April, but is there a specific like date and time as well as place?
Yes, this performance will be in Denver, Colorado at Larimer Lounge on April 4th. So, if anyone's interested in coming, it's going to be super fun. We are opening for a band called Oxidize, and we're so excited.
Cool. Yeah, I really hope the performance goes well. Unfortunately, I cannot be there because I will be thousands of miles away in Illinois, but hopefully it goes well. A couple more questions left, at least tonight. One more time, this is Ambitious Amplified, powered by Ambitious Entertainment. I'm Isaac Orange, and I'm very lucky to have Storm Fatality. So, Storm, what does success look like to you as an artist? Is it popularity for your music, the amount of money you're making for your music, believing you are making the best music you can make, or is it something else?
I think a lot of the times success is viewed as you made it big, you have millions of listeners, you have millions of fans, you're selling out stadiums. But in my eyes, I think when you reach a point you are truly happy with what you've done, you feel you can continue what you're doing and that you've made a big impact on people. If you look back to when you started and you notice significant improvement and you're just proud of what you've done, that is success.
Speaking of impact, what do you hope listeners take away from your music when they listen to it?
My biggest thing, I want people to feel empowered, and I want them to feel like they have more, if that makes sense. Like, when I listen to an artist, immediately I look for, is this something that, I feel isn't limiting, isn't like the same as everything else, is something I can be inspired by. Like, my goal, I want people to feel like I want to play like this. I want to have a bond with my band like this. I want to be a musician like this.
Got it. Yeah. And now as an artist, I'm sure you can give advice for anyone listening who is thinking about making music or entering the music industry. So for those people, what do you think is or are the most important skills they should have or learn?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, besides things with your instrument, like technique or anything like that, I think the most important thing, whether you're on stage or you're in the studio, wherever you are, the most important thing would be to not second guess yourself. Think about your audience, not you. I know so many bands that have spent so long just being like, nope, this isn't good enough. Nope, I am never going to make it. Just doubt and doubt and doubt. And because of that, they get nowhere and they eventually burn out and they just lose everything. If you sit there and you know, doubt yourself and you get yourself into that mind space, you're not going to go anywhere. And so you need to really dial it in and be more positive on that.
Building into this next question, at least on how you answer that, how should emerging artists face difficulties might come across when entering the music industry?
Right. I mean, there's always so many things. Nothing's going to be perfect. And as hard as it is to face that fact, there's always going to be something going wrong. I mean, I've gone to shows or I've played shows where suddenly I'm missing my gear, or the amp blows out, or I'm recording and I suddenly am having a fight with my band, or just really anything. Things aren't always going to be perfect, and it's really important that you acknowledge that and you don't let that get the best of you.
Got it. And at least nowadays, how important is social media to an artist in the music industry?
I do think it is pretty important. I mean, I know there's artists out there that have made it pretty far without it, and I don't think you need to rely on it, but if you do want that boost, you're probably going to end up needing it.
And out of all of your songs, which one is your favorite? And which one do you think people should check out first?
My favorite song, and that will always have a special place in my heart, will be Fallen Angel, because that is my first song, and I wrote that song when I was in 6th grade, I think, right smack in the middle of COVID, and I was finally getting back into guitar after, like, really having nothing to do, and that was the first thing I was kind of like, oh yeah, this is kind of what I want to start doing more.
And first one people should check out?
Definitely that one. I think it says a lot about
Also Fallen Angel. How
Yeah.
long have you been playing guitar for?
I have no idea. I got my first guitar when I was 8, I think. Or I might have been younger. But I was always kind of on and off. I only really started like sitting down and learning it during like 2020. So I was probably like 11 when I really sat down and was like dedicated my time to it. Before that point, I was always kind of on and off, just like a hobby more so than like something I really wanted to do.
Got it. And just to close it off for a last question, what does ambition mean to you?
Yes. It is all about the drive. It is all about the message that you are spreading, the goals you set, how far you've come, and everything in between. And if you look back at yourself and you keep going, that is ambition, and that is the most important thing, and that is how you're going to be successful in the future.
Yes, I completely agree. Well, I would like to thank you so much for your time to come on the show. Once again, this has been Isaac Orange with Ambitious Entertainment, and I've been so lucky to interview Storm Fatality, such an incredibly talented artist, especially for such a young age. Follow Ambitious on all platforms, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Follow Storm Fatality Rocks on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. And have a great day. Good luck with your performance on April 4th, and good luck with just releasing music throughout the year. Hopefully everything goes well.
Thank you so much.